Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. So, I have a couple builds for you that I plan on going into the final shape with. Again, I am going to preface this by saying, drop any spoilers in the comments, you'll be nuked, no exceptions, zero, nada, none. I don't tolerate that necessarily on this channel, I don't really like spoilers or anything like that, so... Again, just to preface this, Final Shape comes out on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday. However, I won't actually be able to play it until Wednesday. So, there will be no video on Tuesday because unfortunately I have to start getting ready for work at reset. So, I unfortunately won't be able to play and I work late, so I'll just be logging on Wednesday. Y'all will be getting spammed videos as I'm going through the campaign basically. When I'm meaning spammed, I mean like there will probably be like an hour or two gap in between videos. Might be like there'll probably be like a couple hour gap in between videos. That's how efficient this is about to be. Um, as far as post finishing content, again, I don't know what y'all would rather me do. So for now, I'm not gonna do either. If Sai goes on, I'll probably be running the campaign with them. Outside after the first mission, probably. However, I do plan on taking two builds into here. Now, first up is my Giga Chad setup. This is my Giga Chad setup here, and if I want to know the fashion, there it is, I guess. It's all just, most of it is just, Vow the Disciple armor, and then Solstice armor. That's basically it. Now, in terms of the subclass, there's a subclass, Consecration's getting buffed. That's why I'm using it, and Sol Invictus is going to be a little bit better here with the Pyrogales. If you're using Pyrogales, then it's good to use Sol Invictus. If you're using Consecration without Pyrogales, Sol Invictus is almost worthless if you do the second slam. Because the issue with the second slam is it does not create sunspots. If you do the second slam without Pyrogales, it does not create a sunspot, which is very good. So, but the ignition damage is getting buffed, so Consecration might actually be a little bit better without Roaring Flames. I usually use Storm Grenade anyways, but keep in mind its damage is getting increased, and it's getting a little bit of a bigger radius, and it'll last longer, so that's extremely good. Again, Burning Maul, and you have your Ember of Wonder, Ember of Mercy. These two are for their +10 resilience, but this one is picking up a Fire Sprite grants restoration. That is key, because Sol Invictus helps spawn Fire Sprites. For this Ember of Searing, defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. This will also feed into Consecration a little bit. Keep in mind though, if you do the second slam of Consecration, it will barely refund any of your melee energy because you defeated them by ignition, not by Scorch. Exclusively Scorch. So do keep that in mind, but it does create a fire sprite. Super good. You need Ember of Searing and Ember of Mercy together, and I have Ember of Ashes on to help out with Incandescent. And again, I will be doing this on Legendary campaign, so this is for Giga Chad. Like if my other setup doesn't work, then I'm using the setup. I have Supremacy here. PSA, remove boss spec, major spec, and minor spec, and taken spec weapons, and the big one spec from all weapons that you plan on using in the final shape. Those mods are going away. So that's why for Supremacy, I have backup mag, because it'll have a lot more ammo for rewind rounds to proc. So in sense, rewind rounds to proc, it'll be a little bit better. So instead of it has 7 now, instead of 5, it'll be 7. So probably about an extra shot per instance. So you'll probably get about 4 extra shots in total, making kinetic tremors last a little bit longer. Now for Luna's Howl, I'm using Luna's Howl instead of Zali's Bane for that heal clip. Heal clip incandescent is just too good. I also have light mag and that sort of thing. Its reload speed is a little bit rough. I do have backup mag on, but I also have a reload mod on my arms. My suggestion here is you do need heal clip incandescent, and you either or, you either need a range masterwork or light mag or ricochet rounds, something that boosts its reload speed. Either or, you don't necessarily, having both is really good, but don't worry if you only have one of them. So that's my Luna's Howl, and then I'm using Gallahorn. Gallahorn is so good for ad clearing and stuff, so it's pretty solid. I believe it's the exotic I have the most amount of clears with. I mean, the most amount of clears that I have with my power weapons, because I ended up slapping together something on Charlemagne, so I'm actually going to double check for y'all. That is indeed proper. But yeah, Gallahorn is by far the weapon that I have, the power weapon that I have the most kills with, at 11,640 and 95. The next highest is Crown Splitter at 2,400. You'll put that in perspective. So yeah, Luna's Howl. Oh wow, I'm one kill away from 3,000 for Luna's Howl. It's actually not too shabby. But this is my those are my weapons. Again, seasonal artifact is going to be completely different, so we don't really know. Now, now keep in mind for these stats, these are kind of important because I have tier 9, tier 9, tier 9, and I will have tier 7 for my super. I'm valuing my super a little bit more than my melee here because actually I should not have. No, I actually should have both of these. Yeah, I should have one of each because my melee's throwing hammer because it has a minute 31 cooldown. Well, actually no, both have the same cooldown. Hammer strike is a little bit more useful in like super close range, and I'm not necessarily a big proponent of hammer strike, and I don't plan on using this class for traversal in any way, shape, or form. So as long as you have your tier 9 resil, tier 9 recovery, you're good. Don't do tier 10 resilience. A lot of people want to be like, oh, tier 10 resilience, 3%. It's literally 3%. And with how much healing and shit there is in the game, you don't need spend those 10 point elsewhere to get that extra recharge in grenade raid or recharge in terms of strength, or intellect for that matter. And recovery is more worth to have tier 10 than because yeah, so for tier 9 to tier 10 is 3%, and for recovery it's a whole ass 10%. So yeah. Now, again, keep in mind we will be able to artifice exotic, so that's why I'm at 69 for intellect, because once I artifice that, I can put that intellect slot in there, and then I'll have triple tier 9s and a tier 7. Now, from a helmet, I have Siphon, Heavy Ammo Finder. I don't really need Scout. This is mostly if I'm like with Psycho or something like that, where we're going to need heavy. Other than that, you can definitely have on something else here. I would probably say Kinetic Tremors or something like that. I would rearrange my armor pieces, but that's the tentative thing. Then for Pyrogales, I have one loader. You need one loader. You need one loader with Lunas. At least one loader. You don't need a second one necessarily. But again, our melees and grenades are going to be feeding into each other. Chest piece, sniper damage resist. If you're a Titan, you should have on sniper damage resist by default. You should have it on because, dear God, you'll probably get sniped hell out of nowhere. And I have 2 reserves on for Gallahorn. And I have 1 surge, don't need more than that. Then I have on recuperation and innervation for grenade. And health if I desperately need it. Powerful attraction isn't necessary. If you don't want to do bomber or anything like that in your class item, I would suggest you going remove powerful attraction and just going double time dilation. So you'll have that solar surge for a lot longer. I don't think it's particularly useful to necessarily have bomber or time dilation. It's just if I want a panic barricade, I have that. Speaking of barricades, don't have towering barricade on ever. Just have on rallying barricade. That'll save you some trouble. And I always have my jump as high lift. So that is for solar. For what I generally plan on using and what I hope I can beat the campaign on is with this setup. This setup right here. So again, here's the fashion. I tried to do a lot of things with this, but this is the best that I could come up with. Again, if I get my hands on some more armor pieces, so it really depends on what ornaments we got coming and shit. Ooh, for armor. By the way, again, I do want to preface this by saying no one got into the raid. The leaks are not as major as most people put it out there. And as far as even like I believed it to be a lot more major myself, it's mostly items, collections, that sort of thing. Raid weapon loot and raid mods have been leaked, but no one has gotten into the raid. But people have been able to play, I believe, the first mission in the campaign. So keep that in mind. But now for Arc, I do plan on rocking with Arc here, because I don't want to use Pyrogales. That's the main reason I don't want to use Pyrogales for like this is for cutscenes. Like I want this Titan to be in cutscenes. They're just like my cutscene Titan, all right. And later on, once we get a little bit more exotics, especially after get that Strand new Titan Strand exotic, you can bet I'm gonna make a really horny, no pun intended, fashion with those Titan exotic arms. And it's for some good old cutscene action. Shaq style. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. But again, I'm going to be using Thunder Crash for damage, for mostly big target damage. This is something that this current build kind of struggles with, because I'm not using a DPS heavy weapon or necessarily DPS special, but a special can sort of double as a DPS heavy, so Thunder Crash is kind of going to be really good for that. I'm using Thruster. I always use Thruster on Arc. I do not use anything else because I use Powerful Attraction on my mark. So thrusting will collect all of those orbs right on me, and I'll get a chunk of like health, abilities, all that good stuff. Again, I use High Lift. So I use Shoulder Charge. I'm not going to use Thunderclap. I'm still not. Ballistic Slam, I'm still not going to. It's not necessarily a great idea to be in the air. And before you Ballistic Slam, you are in the air, like stuck for a brief period of time before you slam. So I don't really like it. But Seismic Strike, one for that movement speed, but also that blinding. That blinding is going to be so good. And speaking of blinding, I'm using Flashbang Grenades. I would normally use Arc Bolt Grenades, but I decided to go with blinding here because I'm going to be playing a little bit more aggressively. So that's why I decided to go with blinding over Arc Bolt. Arc Bolt is so good, though. Again, Touch of Thunder also buffs Flashbang Grenades. It does not buff Arc Bolt. But Juggernaut is... I'm just not... No. Not running Juggernaut. Just no. But Touch of Thunder, that Flashbang is going to emit an extra thing. I just don't know how good Storm Grenades are going to be. So I'm deciding not to use that. And Knockout. Do keep in mind. So critical wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attacks with Arc Energy, increases your melee range and damage for a short time. This is also on regular melee hits as well. Defeating targets with melee attack starts health regeneration makes you amplified. It'll probably still make you amplified. However, it will not regen your health. It'll give you a chunk of health depending on the target killed. So I'm keeping that in mind. Again, these two are for the plus 10 zone recovery. And this one, blinding target with precision damage, creates a blinding explosion. This is mostly for that plus 10 intellect so I can cast my Thunder Crash more often. Now, Spark of Shock is really good with... So, Spark of Shock is extremely potent. The negative 10 discipline is a little bit rough, but I actually kind of balanced it out. But it's really good for Flashbang and Arc Bolt specifically. If you're using Pulse Grenade, if you want to use Pulse Grenade or Lightning Grenade, I would switch this out for something else. So do keep that in mind. Though that's the subclass though. And again, keep in mind, I will have triple tier 9s here. Cures of the Falling Star, I am for sure exotic ciphering. So that is something to note. I will be for sure exotic ciphering this, so I will have that +3 in discipline. So again, I will have triple 9s and then the 7. And that is keeping in mind that I will have a negative on my thing. So again, I'm using Necrochasm. I love Necrochasm. I love this ornament. This ornament is just too sexy to pass up. But do keep in mind that it's getting changed to where its reload speed is going to be increased. It's going to get extra reload speed for its intrinsic trait, but also to keep in mind its Curse Thrall thing, it's essentially getting one for all. It's called one for Thrall. So you prize that Curse Thrall explosion, extra damage, I believe extra damage, stability, and I know it gets aim assist, but it might get reload speed as well. So yeah, that's something of note. Also, it does have ricochet rounds. That's interesting. Again, I'm using Aramite for heal clips specifically. Again, You will have no damage increasing mods. Also, this is the Guardian Games Memento. Does look sexy though. But I'm also using it for the heal clip just in case. Oh, I'm low. I don't have any sources to really heal. Okay, fusion. Bam. Reload. Heal. That's also why I decided to go with quick access sling here. Backup mag is not going to help because it's reservoir burst. It's not like the top portion of your magazine. It's like when your magazine is full. So I decided to do quick access sling for that quickness. And then, of course, the usual other stuff. And then for my heavy, I decided to go with Quilliam's Terminus with Unrelenting Headstone. I am kind of curious on if Unrelenting works with Headstone. Like if I happen to destroy the crystal, will it proc Headstone? Will it proc Unrelenting? Which I'm hoping it does. If not, I'll just switch it, slide that perk to Killing Tally. Now again, I decided to put Adept Reload on here because its reload speed sucks. Its reload speed is kind of ass. So that's why I have that there. And again, we'll have no damage mod, so it needs help with reload speed the most. Now on to the mods. Again, your stats, same as before. Not gonna talk about that much. For the helmet though, you're gonna want to have harmonic and, well, if you're using arc, the same subclass, you wanna have harmonic and kinetic on. Due to, and I know, even though it's like, hey, you're not using an arc special weapon or heavy. Well, about that. So, the cursed thrall explosions actually count as arc on Necrochasm. And so, but the actual bullets themselves are kinetic. So it's one of those weird situations where conditional finality is not the only weapon that deals to both, like, more than one damage type at the same time without, like, fundamentalists. What is on Borealis? And besides Borealis, Dead Messenger, and Hardlight, there is another weapon outside of conditional that does deal more than one damage type, and that's Necrochasm. It deals, the arc explosion is arc, and the regular weapon's kinetic. So to cover both bases, I have these. And then I just have hands on because I do plan on using shoulder charge a decent amount. And again, I have kinetic loader because Necrochasm is my main deal. Again, my grenades are going to be feeding into, and melee going to be feeding into each other. I have solar here specifically because of the fusion rifle. I want to put as much ammo for it as possible. The second I run out of reserves, then I can't proc reservoir burst. I also have kinetic weapon surge just because, and again, powerful attraction for that extra thrust, and if I pick up a lot of orbs, I have absolution to decrease my thruster, melee, and grenade. So again, everything sort of feeds into each other. But okay, you might be asking, okay, I understand. I understand everything, but why the fuck are you using a stasis machine gun when you could just be using arc? I understand the fusion rifle, but why stasis machine gun? And that, my ladies and gentlemen, is because of Prismatic. I'm assuming that we're going to be dealing with sort of a situation like with, you know, like with Stasis and Strand. I am assuming that we are going to be getting a hold of Prismatic. And the thing is, with how Necrochasm is, it's going to progress both bars because it's kinetic. But the biggest problem is it's probably going to progress the light bar just a little bit faster than the dark bar because of those arc thrall explosions. So that's where the machine gun comes in. Like if I'm full on my light bar, then I can just bam, whip out that machine gun. Bada bing, bada boom, got my transcendence. I can go ham. And yes, I do have some ideas for transcendence. By the way, I think I mentioned this to a friend of mine the other day, but I can't wait for the exotic items now, specifically because of point contact cannon brace and shield throw. Being able to get an overshield from that shield throw and jolt is going to be absolutely insane. I just really like that combo. So honestly, I'm personally gonna go with Ambient Leap and like Spirit of Ambient Leap and Spirit of Contact. That is what I'm going to be going for. I'm planning on going with Knockout and Derringer Slash for one prismatic setup, and I'll test out some other things too, so don't worry. But anyways, on that note, let me know what y'all think of the builds here. Do y'all think this is going to be better? This, arc setup here for the campaign, or do y'all think the solar one, not that one, this one, or do y'all think this one is just going to be, I'm going to have to use it? Depends on how hard the campaign is. But on that note, let me know what y'all think in the comments below about those two setups. Again, not really gonna show them in person because they're in a neutered state currently because I have no spec mods in them, and the stats I've rearranged to perfectly sort of fit the new sandbox. So on that note, let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and I will catch y'all on the flip side.